Motec on Money continues. This is Frank Motec. The fallout continues to the massive consumer information data breach at credit reporting agency Equifax that exposed the personal information of about 143 million Americans, leaving those people vulnerable to identity theft and other financial crimes, possibly for a lifetime. In Washington, the Senate Banking Committee announced plans to question Equifax CEO Richard Smith next month. The FBI and the Federal Trade Commission have launched investigations, and at least 50 class action lawsuits have now been filed. Authorities here in California also looking into what happened. And with us now, California Attorney General Xavier Becerra. Attorney General, it's great to connect with you here. Equifax, just one of the many consumer cases getting attention over this past week. Tell us, first of all, what's being done here to hold Equifax accountable and what can be done at this point to protect consumers affected by this debacle.
Well, Frank, thanks for having me on, and I will tell you that we're all interested in getting to the bottom of this massive data breach. We have to, because when the credit bureau, the reporting agency that you depend on to keep tabs of your credit, is the one that's hacked, then who can you trust with your most private information? And so we need to get to the bottom of this. As soon as we heard about the Equifax breach, when they made it public, we were on it. We contacted Equifax. We started to raise concerns about some of the activities they were engaged in when they were, for example, talking about providing a free credit check for them. We checked real quickly. We found out that they had an arbitration clause that people were having to sign, that where they were signing away their rights simply so they could get this credit monitoring for free. And so fortunately, Equifax was willing to address that and remove that portion within their application process. But we've been in touch with Equifax since they first announced the breach, and we're going to continue to be on top of this with them. And we hope that we can get them to respond and be accountable without having to go to court. But clearly, as you've mentioned, there are a lot of folks that believe it's important to go to court.
And indeed, some states are already taking Equifax to court and a number of class action lawsuits from the consumer standpoint. And I know you've obviously been very big on consumer issues since you've taken that position after having served in Congress for many, many years. What's your best advice for consumers at this point?
Well, Frank, I think the best thing that people can do is quickly check whether they've been impacted. Do a quick check to find out if you were part of that breach. There were some 15 million Californians whose credit history was breached. And so check to find out if you were one of those 15 million. Then put a fraud alert on your credit file. That can be done free. You can do it with the 3 different credit reporting agencies, whether it's Equifax, obviously TransUnion, and Experian. You should make sure you're putting a fraud alert on your credit file. Make sure you review your credit reports. Find out if they're accurate. And if you find something in your report from either one of those credit bureaus that doesn't seem right, then connect with that credit bureau to check on that, find out. You may have to then take further steps if you're finding that someone is hacking your personal information. And of course, the other thing you can do is put a freeze on your credit file. Right now, Equifax is willing to do that without charging you the $10 that's typically charged.
And over the past week, I understand you took on another company, Gatorade, namely. Give us an update on that case and tell us what happened there.
Yeah, and Frank, this is one of those cases where I think we take for granted that some of these companies that are so well known, we just assume that their product is something that's been tested and proven true. And when Gatorade gets out there and says something, I think most people want to believe it's true. Unfortunately, we were finding that they were misrepresenting one of their products in a way that I think was more than just wrong. It was morally wrong. It was a betrayal of trust in aiming a particular type of outreach towards children through a game, internet game, which essentially tried to make the case that, if I could put it in Tarzan terms, Gatorade good, water bad. And it's unfortunate because the best drink, the best type of liquid that you can put in your body to replenish your body's need for fluids is water. And Gatorade was trying to make it look like it was really Gatorade and not water that you really should put in your body. And Gatorade sat down with us, and we filed a complaint, but we were also able to settle the case, and we're going to try to make sure that they don't do this again.
Tell us more about the Attorney General's office and the Consumer Affairs office there, or whatever office you have there that deals with these consumer issues, how people can get more information to get some help out there.
Probably the best thing is to mention that we have a public inquiry unit where if anyone has a question or a concern, they believe that someone is violating the law, they can always contact my office through our website. That's oag.ca.gov, the Office of the Attorney General, OAG, at ca.gov. You can send information to us, and anything that involves consumers' rights, we like to be on top of it, whether it's Gatorade or whether it's Equifax.
California State Attorney General Xavier Becerra, thank you very much for connecting with us here on all these big consumer issues, and thank you very much for joining us here this weekend.